We are in the interior now of Trinity Lutheran Church, sometimes called Old Trinity, being the first Lutheran church west of the Mississippi. It was founded by a group of Saxons who came from around the region of Dresden, Germany, who were being persecuted for their conservative religious beliefs at the time in the 1830s. They were being forced by the Prussian government to join what was called the Prussian Union, which meant that all Protestant groups, no matter what they were being forced to join the government-approved church. The doctrines were being changed, the Lutheran pastors were being replaced with other pastors, the government-approved pastors, and these people were not too thrilled about that. So they decided to come to America where they could worship as they chose under the leadership of a man by the name of Pastor Martin Stephan, who later became rather infamous. But they came over on 5 different sailing ships. One of the ships did not make it. It went down off the coast of France in a storm. Everybody on board was lost. The other 4 arrived in New Orleans, came upriver mostly as deck passengers on 4 different steamboats. They were sleeping out on deck in the first 2 weeks of January of 1839 with the ice flowing by. They came to St. Louis, but this was not going to be their final destination. They were going down to Perry County, Missouri, but since it was the middle of the winter and there were nothing down in Perry County but vacant land and forestry and so forth, they decided they would winter over in St. Louis. When spring came, most of the group did go down to Perry County and founded the Saxon communities down there, but about 200 of the people decided that they didn't want to go down to Perry County. They had found a nice place to stay here. They figured life would be hard down there, so they stayed, and that became Trinity. They built their first church in 1842, and it was a rather small church. I have a picture of it here. The church with Pastor Walther's house across the street. And in that house, Pastor Walther lived, so did the school teacher, and they held school classes in the parsonage at the time. That church got to be much too small. This particular building is the second church building they built. It was built in 1864 at a cost of $117,000. But this was right in the midst of the Civil War. It was an unusual time to be spending that kind of money, especially on a church building when there were Union sympathizers and Confederate sympathizers here too. But the Germans went right ahead, spent the money on the building. We actually have in our records that on the day they opened the front doors, there was not one penny of that $117,000 owed. Many of the members had mortgaged their homes so that there was not a debt on the church, which was very unusual.